Welcome to another Monday Blitz as we continue our exploration of the book of Matthew. Today we cover an interesting story told by Matthew in chapter 19. And I want to read the context of it, just the verses just before it begins, because I think it gives us some interesting insights into what Jesus was dealing with and the struggle we as human beings have in believing that Jesus saves. It says then, verse 13 of Matthew 19, "Then the people brought little children to Jesus for him to place his hands on them and to pray for them. But the disciples rebuked them. Jesus said, 'Let the little children come to me, and do not hinder them, for the kingdom of heaven belongs to such as these.' When he had placed his hands on them, he went on from there." And then the very next verse, "Just then, as Jesus is going from there, a man came to Jesus and asked, 'Teacher, what good thing must I do to get eternal life?'" You see, we so often as Christians continue to live in this belief that I must do something. I got to do something. It can't be a gift from God. I must do something to earn eternal life. And there is something, a very simple thing. It's called believe, and yet it's so hard for us because believe means that I'm trusting in someone, in something that is greater than me, but that I cannot see, that I must just trust. I was thinking about how we are with our cars, our vehicles. Now, when I climb in my vehicle and I step on the brakes, I assume that the vehicle is going to either stop moving or not going to start moving, right? We step on the brakes and it stops us. Now, the moment I step on the brakes and it doesn't stop me, I begin to doubt. And then from then on, for quite a while, I will doubt whether or not the brakes are going to stop me, right? I'm sure you'd be the same way. If the brakes aren't working, you're going to question every time you step on them, are they going to work? Are they going to slow me down? Are they going to stop my vehicle? And I wonder why it is that we begin with Jesus in the questioning. Why do we begin with God going, I'm not sure if salvation, if eternal life is real. I'm not sure if I can trust that you save me. Because the scriptures are very clear. It says that Christ died for all sin. He has forgiven all sins. It's simply a matter of us believing. Now that rich young ruler, we find out in the passage, really has a lot of things that he is not ready to surrender. Now, he may act like a good man, but he's not relying on God for strength. He is relying on his financial status and his accumulated wealth. And so many of us, we may have things too that we rely on rather than God. Some have said that this passage is a condemnation to gaining wealth or being rich. It's not about the wealth or the riches. It's about who are we relying on for our salvation. Am I saving myself by having a retirement plan, an emergency fund, all these things that we encourage, but are they what we rely on, or do we rely on God? Now, God calls us to be wise, to be good stewards of finances. But what about other parts of our life? Are we good stewards of the bodies given to us? Are we good stewards of our relationships? Do we rely on God or on things that we think we can control as our reliance for who we are, our salvation, and everything about us? You see, this rich young ruler appeared to be a very good man. In fact, he claimed he kept all the commandments, and yet had no reliance on God for salvation. And he knew that something was missing. Many of us today know that there's things missing. We can tell our life experience is not as good as it should be. And yet we still turn back to the things of this world to save us. There is no good thing we can do. Salvation comes, eternal life comes by believing in Jesus Christ as the only one who can save us from sin and realign us and reconnect us in a loving relationship with the Father. When we see God we will be overjoyed when we believe in Jesus as our only salvation. Until next time.